This is the London Visited podcast on your favourite podcast provider, bringing to you the facts, history and information about different parts of this great capital. If you have been to London, are planning on visiting, live here or just love London from afar, then this is the podcast for you.
Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to our podcast. We're here for all things London and to tell you more about some of the iconic places and people in London's history. In this episode, we go to Hampstead and the area around for part 1 of our podcast on this area. Don't forget to visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel London Visited to see videos covering this place and so many others across London. Also, if you love the podcast and the channel, why not join us as a member? Join our group of what we like to call our London Visited Crown Jewels, where there are many different benefits, including a members-only monthly podcast. Have a look by going to www.patreon.com/London Visited. Also, today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Do you feel like you are stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun and affordable. You can now enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there is something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity, and we thank HelloFresh for their support. And now to this week's podcast. Hampstead is an area of London which lies 4 miles northwest of Charing Cross and extends from the A5, which is the Roman Watling Street, to Hampstead Heath, a large hilly expanse of parkland. The area forms the northwest part of the London Borough of Camden, a borough in Inner London for which the purposes of the London Plan was designated as part of central London. Hampstead is known for its intellectual, liberal, artistic, musical and literary associations. It has some of the most expensive housing in the London area. Hampstead has more millionaires within its boundaries than any other area of the UK. The name comes from the Anglo-Saxon words ham and steed, and it is an amalgamation of the modern English homestead. Early records of Hampstead can be found in a grant by King Ethelred the Unready to the monastery of St Peter's at Westminster in AD 986, and it is referred to in the Domesday Book of 1086 as being the Middlesex Hundred of Ulsonstone. The growth of Hampstead is generally traced back to the 17th century. Trustees of the well started advertising the medicinal qualities of the Charlie Beat waters, water impregnated with iron, in 1700. Although Hampstead Wells was initially most successful and fashionable, its popularity declined in the 1800s due to competition with other fashionable London spas. The spa was demolished in 1882, although a water fountain was left behind. Hampstead started to expand following the opening of the North London Railway in the 1860s, now the London Overground, with passenger services operated by Transport for London, and expanded further after the Charing Cross, Euston and Hampstead Railway opened in 1907, now part of the London Underground's Northern Line, and provided fast travel to central London. Much luxurious housing was created during the 1870s and 1880s. In the area that is now the political ward of Frognall and Fitzjohn's, much of this housing remains to this day. In the 20th century, a number of notable buildings were created, including Hampstead Underground Station in 1907, the deepest on the Underground network, Isacon Building in 1932, Hillfield Court in 1932, 2 Willow Road in 1938, Swiss Cottage Central Library 1964, the Royal Free Hospital, the mid-1970s. Cultural attractions in the area include the Freud Museum, Keats House, Kenwood House, which we'll look at a later episode, Fenton House, the Isacon Building, Borough House, which also houses Hampstead Museum, and the Camden Arts Centre. The large Victorian Hampstead Town Hall was recently converted and extended as an arts centre. On the 14th of August 1975, Hampstead entered the UK weather records with the highest 155-minute total rainfall at 169 millimetres, a record to date which still remains. The recent average price of a property in Hampstead was £1.5 million. Hampstead became part of the County of London in 1889, and in 1899 the Metropolitan Borough of Hampstead was formed. The Town Hall on Haverstock Hill, which was also the location of the Register Office, can be seen in the newsreel footage of many celebrity civil marriages. In 1965, the Metropolitan Borough was abolished and the area merged with that of the Metropolitan Borough of Holborn and the Metropolitan Borough of St Pancras, to form the modern-day London Borough of Camden. For some, the area represented by Hampstead today consists principally of the electoral wards of Hampstead Town and Frognall and Fitzjohns. Others espouse a broader definition encompassing South Hampstead, Belsize Park and West Hampstead. The area has a significant tradition of educated liberal humanism, often referred to, often disparagingly, as Hampstead liberalism. Michael Idov of The New Yorker stated that the community was the citadel of the moneyed liberal intelligentsia, posh but not stuffy. As applied to an individual, the term Hampstead liberal is not synonymous with champagne socialist, but carries some of the same connotations. The term is also rather misleading. To the north and east of Hampstead, and separating it from Highgate, is London's largest ancient parkland, Hampstead Heath, which includes the well-known and legally protected view of the London skyline from Parliament Hill. The Heath, a major place for Londoners to walk and take the air, has 3 open-air public swimming pools, one for men, one for women, and one for mixed bathing, which were originally reservoirs for drinking water and the sources of the River Fleet. Local activities include major open-air concerts on summer Saturday evenings on the slopes below Kenwood House, book and poetry readings, fun fairs on the lower reaches of the Heath, period harpsichord recitals at Fenton House, Hampstead Scientific Society, and Hampstead Photographic Society. The largest employer in Hampstead is the Royal Free Hospital in Pond Street, but many small businesses based in the area have international significance. George Martin's AIR recording studios in converted church premises in Lyndhurst Road is a current example, as Jim Henson of the Muppets Creature Shop was before it relocated to California. The area has some remarkable architecture, such as the Isicon building in Lawn Road, a Grade 1 listed experiment in collective housing, once home to Agatha Christie, Henry Moore, Ben Nicholson, and Walter Gropius. It was recently restored by the Notting Hill Housing Trust. Hampstead was once home to many art galleries, but few are now left. The Cato Gallery has been in Hampstead since 1986 and has represented artists like Ian Berry, Philip Jackson, Chuck Elliott, Wally C. Ting, and Sergei Chepik over the years. Hampstead is also well known for its traditional pubs, such as the Hollybush, gaslit until recently, the Spaniards Inn, where highwayman Dick Turpin took refuge, the Old Bull and Bush in North End, and the Old White Bear. Jack Straw's Castle on the edge of the Heath, near Whitestone Pond, has now been converted into residential flats. We just wanted to remind you that if the thought of food after talking about pubs is making you think of your next dinner recipe, then I'd like to say a big thanks to HelloFresh, who are supporting this episode. There are over 25 recipes to choose from each week. There is something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. One of our family favourites is the barbecue beef quesadillas. These go down so well with everyone in the family and take just 20 minutes to put together with the easy recipe cards, and are just one of those meals that everyone wants time and time again. I love that each recipe tells you the prep time and who it's aimed for, which makes the time to cook and the time to choose really easy for our on-the-go lifestyle. Now, go to the link in our show notes to get 50% off your first box, and then 35% off your next 3 boxes. That's the link in our show notes for 50% off your first box, and then 35% off your next 3 boxes. HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit. Thanks again to HelloFresh. Hampstead has served as a testing ground for a number of cafes and restaurants that later became successful chains. Those include Giraffe World Kitchen, Gales, and Bagel Street. As a consequence, Hampstead has an eclectic mix of restaurants ranging from French to Thai. After over a decade of controversy and legal action from local residents, McDonald's was finally allowed to open in Hampstead in 1992, after winning its right in court and agreeing to a previously unprecedented redesign of the shopfront, reducing the conspicuousness of its facade and logo. It closed in November 2013. Hampstead High Street is filled with boutiques where one can shop for women's clothing, art supplies, health food items, and homewares. Specialty shops like an Italian ice cream and chocolatier and the popular teen brand Brandy Melville have local outlets. Parisian ladies' fashion shops also have local boutiques here in Hampstead. Hampstead's rural feel lends itself for use in film, a notable example being The Killing of Sister George in 1968, starring Beryl Reid and Susanna York. The opening sequence has Reid's character Jude wandering through the streets and alleyways of Hampstead, west of Heath Street, around the Mount Square. The Marquis of Granby pub, in which June drinks at the opening of the film, was actually the Hollybush. Another example is The Collector from 1965, starring Terence Stamp and Samantha Eggar, where a kidnap sequence is set in Mount Vernon. Some scenes from An American Werewolf in London from 1981 were shot on Hampstead Heath, Wellwalk and Haverstock Hill. More recently, Kenwood House has been the set of the film within the film scene of Notting Hill in 1999. Outdoor scenes in The Wedding Date from 2005, starring Deborah Messing, feature Parliament Hill Fields on the Heath, overlooking West London. Parliament Hill also features on the Notes on a Scandal from 2006, together with the nearby areas of Gospel Oak and Camden Town. Four Weddings and a Funeral from 1994 features the old Hampstead Town Hall on Haverstock Hill. A musical specifically focusing on the area, Les Bicyclettes del Belsize from 1968, tells the story of a young man's cycle journey around Hampstead. After crashing into a billboard poster, he falls in love with the fashion model depicted on it. In February 2016, principal photographer for Robert Zemeck's war film Allied, starring Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard, began with a family home located on the corners of Christchurch Hill and Willow Road in Hampstead. Hampstead Station is on the Northern Line, which has connections to their other lines at Camden Town or King's Cross Station, amongst others. The London Overground, the North London Line, also runs through Hampstead Heath and Finchley Road and Frognall. Stations in the area of Hampstead also include Belsize Park, Finchley Road and Frognall, Hampstead, Hampstead Heath and Swiss Cottage. In the 1860s, the Metropolitan and St John's Wood Railway was authorised to build a branch line from Swiss Cottage to Hampstead, with its terminus to be located at the junction of Flask Walk, Well Walk and Willow Road. Financial difficulties meant that the project was cancelled in 1870. Cycling infrastructure in Hampstead is poor. In early 2016, Transport for London consulted with the public on the new Cycle Superhighway between Swiss Cottage and the West End, which provides an unbroken, predominantly traffic-free cycle route from Hampstead to central London. The scheme was cancelled following court action from the City of Westminster in 2018. There are bus lanes along the A41 Finchley Road that cyclists are allowed to use. A shared-use path runs from Parliament Hill to Jack Straw's Castle, Highgate, through the centre of Hampstead Heath. Hampstead has long been known as a residence of the intelligentsia, including writers, composers, ballerinas and intellectuals, actors, artists and architects, many of whom created the Bohemian community in the late 19th century. After 1917, and again in the 1930s, it became base to a community of avant-garde artists and writers, and was host to a number of emigres and exiles from the Russian Revolution and Nazi Europe. There are at least 60 English heritage blue plaques in Hampstead, commemorating the many diverse personalities that have lived there. So, I hope you've enjoyed our first look at Hampstead and the area around it. That was part 1. We have another part next week, where we'll look further at Hampstead Heath, the ponds, and also Parliament Hill. If you'd like to make contact with us or suggest any places you'd like us to feature in future podcasts, you can let me know through our website, londonvisited.co.uk, or through our social media. It's that easy. Once again, a big thank you to HelloFresh for supporting this episode. Thanks for listening, and we really hope you enjoyed our podcast, and we'll see you soon on the next one. Bye!
Thanks for listening, and please don't forget to subscribe to get more shows direct to your device. Also, why not visit our London Visited YouTube channel to get even more of London. Catch you soon on the next one.